Welcome to Mysteries Decoded by AI, where we unravel the world's strangest mysteries using the power of artificial intelligence. Today, we're diving into one of the most infamous military experiments ever whispered about, the Philadelphia experiment. It was 1943, the height of World War II, and the US Navy was desperate for an advantage. While battles raged across Europe and the Pacific, a secret experiment was unfolding in the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, an experiment so classified, so bizarre, that those who claimed to have witnessed it were never the same again. They called it the Philadelphia experiment, a project rumored to have made an entire U.S. Navy destroyer, the USS Eldridge, disappear into thin air. Not just invisible to radar, not just cloaked from sight, gone. And when it returned, something was wrong. Horribly wrong. The sailors aboard weren't just disoriented. Some were burned. Others had gone mad. And some were fused into the metal hull of the ship itself. Limbs and torsos grotesquely embedded into the bulkhead, as if they had been caught between realities when the ship phased in and out of existence. At least, that's how the story goes. For decades, the US government has denied everything. Officially, the Philadelphia experiment never happened. But the declassified files, the strange disappearances, and the whispers from those who were there all tell a different story. The mysterious origins, the man at the center of this supposed breakthrough. Nikola Tesla, or at least, his theories. Before his death, Tesla had been working on what he called teleforce technology, what some interpreted as an early form of electromagnetic invisibility. His work was later handed over to the US military. Enter Einstein's unified field theory, a hypothetical concept suggesting that gravity, electromagnetism, and space-time itself could be manipulated as one. If true, it meant objects could be made invisible, teleported, or even shifted through dimensions. But then, there were the witnesses. A man named Carlos Allende, or Carl Allen, depending on the account, claimed he saw the USS Eldridge vanish and reappear in Norfolk, Virginia, over 200 miles away, in seconds. He wrote letters detailing this event to a scientist named Morris Jessup, who had been investigating anti-gravity propulsion. Not long after, Jessup was found dead, apparent suicide. A coincidence, or another buried truth? Allende's letters were filled with cryptic annotations, referencing government cover-ups, secret physics, and off-the-books experiments that supposedly unlocked the power to warp space and time. These letters were later compiled into what's known as the Varro edition, a classified version of Jessup's book that was heavily studied by the Office of Naval Research. Why would the military take interest in a book about UFOs unless there was something to hide? The USS Eldridge and the missing logs. The USS Eldridge's logs gone. Witness testimonies discredited. The crew, many transferred, records erased, their fates unknown. But one disturbing detail remains. Several crew members allegedly suffered from the freeze, a condition where sailors would become stuck in time, phasing in and out of reality. Some were said to vanish entirely, appearing days later in different locations. Unable to explain how they got there. And then, there's the Nazi connection. The Nazi bell and the race for hidden technology. At the same time the U.S. was experimenting with invisibility, the Nazis were testing something eerily similar. A project known as D-Glock, the bell. A massive, bell-shaped device said to generate an intense electromagnetic field. Some believe it was an attempt at anti-gravity propulsion. Others think it was an experiment to bend time itself. Both projects, American and German, vanished at the end of the war. Files were burned, scientists disappeared, and yet, the whispers persisted. Could the Philadelphia experiment have been the result of unfinished Nazi technology? Did the US government continue the work of the Reich in secret, hidden in plain sight under the guise of Cold War advancements? Some theorists argue that D-Glock wasn't destroyed, it was taken by US forces during Operation Paperclip, along with the Nazi scientists who developed it. If that's true, then the Philadelphia experiment may have been an attempt to weaponize these concepts, pushing beyond simple invisibility to something far more sinister, reality manipulation. The Montauk connection. And what about Project Montauk? Years later, rumors surfaced of another secret experiment, one involving mind control, time travel, and parallel dimensions, conducted at an abandoned Air Force base in New York. Several alleged survivors claim they were subjected to bizarre psychological experiments. Some even say they were sent through time. Could this have been the continuation of the Philadelphia experiment? And if so, what did they uncover? The suppression of truth history has a way of erasing things governments don't want you to know. We've seen it with the disappearance of Nazi scientists. We've seen it with suppressed UFO research. And we've seen it with declassified documents that were altered beyond recognition before being released to the public. So why would the Philadelphia experiment be any different? Multiple records that could have confirmed the experiment's validity were either lost or destroyed. The crew members who allegedly spoke out about what happened vanished, transferred, reassigned, or simply erased from existence. And those who did talk, labeled as lunatics, their stories buried under layers of official denial. But perhaps the most terrifying possibility isn't whether the experiment happened. It's whether it succeeded. If the US military cracked the code of Einstein's unified field theory. If they truly discovered how to phase objects through time and space, where did that knowledge go? What if the Philadelphia experiment wasn't just about making a ship invisible? What if it was about controlling reality itself? The AI's final analysis based on all the evidence. Our AI has pieced together the most logical explanation, while the idea of teleportation and time travel remains speculative. The more plausible scenario is that the Philadelphia experiment was an attempt to develop extreme electromagnetic cloaking technology. However, the unintended consequences, disorientation, radiation burns, and possible neurological effects, may have fueled the disturbing accounts of sailors fusing with the ship and phasing through dimensions. At the same time, we cannot ignore the missing records, the reassignments of key personnel, and the strange deaths of those who tried to expose the truth. Could it be that the Navy stumbled upon something even more profound, something they were unable to control? Was this a simple case of classified technology being misunderstood, or did the military uncover secrets that led to further experiments in programs like Montauk? Perhaps the truth lies in the intersection of science and secrecy, a project that began as an experiment in invisibility but produced results far beyond what anyone had imagined. While there is no definitive proof that the Philadelphia experiment involved teleportation or time travel, it is entirely plausible that the Navy was experimenting with extreme electromagnetic fields for stealth technology. The unintended consequences, disorientation, radiation burns, and possible neurological damage, may have given rise to the more sensational claims of sailors phasing in and out of reality. At the same time, the secrecy surrounding the project and the disappearance of key records suggest that something unusual did occur. Could it be that the experiment was far more advanced than we've been led to believe, or did the extreme conditions create mass hallucinations and confusion among the crew, fueling decades of conspiracy theories? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between, an experiment that started as a test for invisibility but resulted in side effects that no one was prepared for. The Philadelphia experiment may not have been about teleportation, but about testing extreme electromagnetic fields for stealth purposes. If Tesla's theories were involved, the Navy may have stumbled upon unintended side effects, disorientation, radiation burns, and possible neurological damage that led to the horrific stories of fused sailors. But the deeper question remains, if they were experimenting with these concepts in 1943, how much further have they come today? What do you think? Was the Philadelphia experiment real? Was it an accident? Or something much more sinister? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching Mysteries Decoded by AI. Subscribe for more deep investigations into the world's greatest unsolved mysteries. And remember, the truth is always out there, waiting to be uncovered.